Dear students, welcome to use the second year biology class. The earlier classes have discussed about the how crossing is being done in the pea plant. Selection of the pea plant of the two contrasting characters, emasculation process and dusting the pollen grains and let it grow, collection of the seeds and again germination of the seed to know the result. These are some of the steps being followed by the Mendel for hybridization experiment. And next is the 7 characters that he has selected. The 7 characters that the Mendel has selected are as follows. In the pea plant, when he was doing the experiment, some of the characters that he observed is the result. What has come are here. One is character stem height, height of the stem. It is the dominant one was tall and the recessive was dwarf. After conducting the experiment, he got the result is dominant tall. He named and the recessive as dwarf. Another character he has selected is chosen is flower color. When he has conducted the color of the flower, dominant was the violet and the recessive was white. And the flower position, whether the flower is exile or terminal, that also he has observed, conducted the experiment and come to know the dominant was exile flower, recessive was terminal. And pod shape, when he has selected the pod, observed the pod, dominant was inflated, recessive was constricted. Dominant was inflated, recessive was constricted. Pod color when he has seen, pod color when he has seen, dominant was green, recessive was yellow. Dominant was green, recessive was yellow. When he has seen seed shape, dominant was round, recessive was wrinkled. Dominant was round and recessive was wrinkled. When he has seen the seed color, dominant was yellow and recessive was green. Dominant was yellow and recessive was green. Repeat once again. 7 characters selected by Mendel are stem height. When he looked upon the height of the stem, dominant was tall, recessive was dwarf. Stem height, dominant was tall, recessive was dwarf. Flower color, dominant was violet, recessive was white. Flower position, dominant was exile, recessive was terminal. Pod shape, dominant was inflated, recessive was constricted. Pod color, dominant was green, recessive was yellow. Seed shape, dominant was round, recessive was wrinkled. Seed color, dominant was yellow, green was recessive. These are the characters he has selected for his experiment. And accordingly, one of the experiments that he has conducted is inheritance of one gene. Taking into account of the only one character from each of the plant, he has conducted the experiment. Mendel has conducted the experiment that is called inheritance of one gene. Taking into account of one character from each of the plant, he has studied, and it is also called monohybrid cross experiment. It is also called monohybrid cross experiment or inheritance of one gene. This is one of the very important questions that is being asked for 5-mark questions in the annual examination. So inheritance of one gene, or it is also called monohybrid cross experiment. The definition of that is a cross involving two plants differing in one character pair. A cross involving two plants differing in one character pair. That is called the monohybrid cross experiment. Example, Mendel crossed tall and dwarf the plants to study the inheritance of one gene. To know what is the result, he has selected a character called height of the plant. In that height of the plant, one plant he has selected is tall, same species. One plant he has selected is short plant and a tall plant he has selected and wanted to know the result. You can see in the diagram where my mouse is moving. This is the heighted plant. This is the dwarf plant or smallest plant. Then he has crossed between these two. When he crossed between, sir, how crossing is being done? See, heighted plant seeds are being collected. Crossing is emasculation process is being done. By the process of emasculation, the crossing is being done. So he will be knowing the result. When he crossed between those, the first generation, what we call F1 generation, we call it as F1 generation. In the first generation, the result was all the plants appeared are tall. Remember, when he crossed the first generation, all the plants are tall. That means the dominant character is tall. As he has concluded, he has made n number of results, n number of experiments he has done and collected the results. Came to conclusion, tallness will be the dominant. So the dominant character is being expressed in the F1 generation. Further, he crossed to know the F2 generation. When he wanted to know the F2 generation, and the result is 3 tall plants, 1 dwarf plant. 3 tall plants, 1 short plant. Where is this shortness appeared? In the F1 generation, it was not there. It has appeared in the F2 generation. That means the character is suppressed. It is not expressed in F1 generation, but it has expressed in the F2 generation. So that is recessive. It is suppressed character. See, shortness or the darkness is the suppressed character, which has not expressed in the F1 generation, but expressed in the F2 generation. So he concluded, you see, I will explain once again. He has taken into account of the tallness of the plant, height of the plant. One is tall, another one is dwarf. Cross between these two plants are being done. When he has done the crossing between these two plants, in the F1 generation, in the first generation, all the plants which are appeared are tall plants. Further, he was very curious to know what will be the result in the next generation, what we call it as F2 generation. To his surprise, to our surprise, the plants that appeared in the F2 generation are 3 are tall and 1 is dwarf. That means the smallest plant has appeared, the dwarf plant has reappeared, the dwarfness has reappeared in the F2 generation. So this is called the monohybrid cross experiment. Thematic. For 5 marks, you need to keep some of the points in mind when you are doing writing the answer. When it is asked a definition, that will be for 1 mark. When you write the parents and the gametes must be rounded out. You remember always. When you write that one, again further you will get the 1 mark. And when you are writing the F1 generation, half marks. Selfing and gamete formation, half marks. And putting the semantic table, you will get the rest of the marks. So that this question will be 5 marks. Only this much if you write 4 marks, 1 mark for the definition. Writing the definition, you will be getting 1 mark, and giving the semantic representation, you will get 4 marks. Or sometime one more question is being asked, test cross. So in such cases you can write. So actually it is very easy to understand, very easy to write. This will be one of the important question for the 5 mark. So I will repeat once again, inheritance of one gene. You can see the parents that he has selected, homozygous dominant tall plant he has selected, homozygous recessive dwarf plant he has selected. In this diagram also you can see here. Here also you can see one is tall, one is dwarf he has selected. And gametes, see, very important thing. When you are writing the gametes, you need to round up. Writing this is very important. Gametes are rounded up. Circle, they have to be circled. So the gametes segregate, and when the combination of these two results in the formation of new plant, the plant that has come in the F1 generation is heterozygous and which is tall. It is a tall heterozygous plant that has appeared in the F1 generation. First phylyl, what we say, F1 means, F means first phylyl, F1 generation means first phylyl. He has got all the plants which are tall, but they were heterozygous. That means recessive character is hidden in them, not expressed in that. That shows. Again, he has self-crossed between the F1 generation. Once when he self-crossed, gametes are got separated. Again, the gametes you can see here. Again, the gametes are encircled. They are circled. And once when the crossing is being done among those, the second, what we say, second phylyl or F2 generation. In the F2 generation, you will get the tall, 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 and one is dwarf. If we get 4 plants, out of 4 plants, 3 plants were tall and 1 plant was dwarf. 1 plant was dwarf. But you can see this table, capital T is there in one place, capital T small t is there in 2 places, small t is there in 2 places, one place. Now what does this concludes? It concludes that first capital T is a homozygous dominant tall. Homozygous tall plant has appeared. Capital T small t indicates that heterozygous tall plant is there. Small t indicates that homozygous dwarf plant is there. Recessive dwarf plant is there. Like this, he has got the result. And the result that he has got is monohybrid phenotypic ratio is tall 3, dwarf 1 in the ratio of 3:1 was the result that he has got. And genotypic, I told, phenotypic is the character that appears. Genotypic ratio that he has got is homozygous tall 1 plant, heterozygous tall 2 plant, homozygous dwarf 1 plant. Therefore, the ratio that is being written is 1:2:1. 1:2:1. If we write this ratio, again we will get the 1 mark. So like that, the distribution of the mark will be there. Marks will be there for the 5-mark question. So this is also very important. Writing the phenotypic ratio, genotypic ratio is also very much important. By which, if you write this, you will get 1 mark. If you give the symmetric representation of the column, you will get 2 marks. If you write the F1 generation, you will get 1 mark. If you represent the parents, you will get, and the definition, you will get 1 mark. Like that, there is a distribution. You cannot leave anyone. So this is the genotypic ratio, and this is one of the experiment of the Mendel's, what he has got the result. This is called the monohybrid cross experiment. This is called the monohybrid cross experiment. Once again, I repeat it. Inheritance of one gene, monohybrid cross, a cross involving 2 plants differing in 1 character pair. Example, Mendel crossed tall and dwarf pea plants to study the inheritance of one gene. In that, he has got the result. Parents, he has selected homozygous dominant tall, homozygous recessive dwarf. And the gametes, when you are writing, they have to be encircled. And F1 generation, he has got all the plants which were tall, but they were heterozygous. That means dwarfness was also there in that. That was suppressed. The character not expressed in the F1 generation. Again, crossing is being done in the F1 generation, and by separate the gametes got separated, and when he has done the crossing between the F1 generation, he got tallness 3 plants and 1 dwarf plant. That pure tall, what he has got is 1, heterozygous tall 2, and homozygous dwarf 1 plant he has got. Therefore, the phenotypic ratio that he has got is tall 3 plants, dwarf 1 plant, 3:1. Monohybrid genotypic ratio that he has got is homozygous tall 1 plant, heterozygous tall 2 plants, homozygous dwarf 1 plant. So 1:2:1 is the result that he has got. And when we are writing importance of the one gene, do not use T for tall and D for dwarf, because it will not make any sense whether D is tall or T is tall, will not know. So, yeah, we suggested use capital T, small, capital 1 letter, small 1 letter. Capital letter indicates the dominant, small letter indicates the recessive. Mendel made a similar observation for the other pairs of traits. Based on these, Mendel proposed that something was inherited, something was hidden, something was suppressed, something was not expressed from the parent to offspring. Remember, he called them as factors. That is what? See, whatever the characters that we get from the mother to father may not be expressed by the children. Some of the characters are hidden in them, suppressed in them, kept in them. They will be expressed in the next generation. We will be studying. There are so many diseases, we will get it, but we blame. Why it happened, we don't know, because that has come from the ancestors. It has come from the ancestors. See, diabetes is one of the disease that will come. Even if we do not eat sugar in our lifetime, still we will have, even smaller children also will have diabetes, because it's not their problem, that has been transmitted from generation to generation. It may not be there in the previous generation, but it has appeared in me because in them it is hidden, suppressed. Factors are now called as genes. Then he called factors as genes. So this is one of the experiment that the Mendel has conducted, called the monohybrid cross experiment. The F1, when self-pollinator produces gametes T and T in equal proportion during fertilization, pollen grains of T have 50% of chances to pollinate eggs of the T and T, small t. Also, pollen grains of genotype small t have the 50% chances to pollinate eggs of genotype, that is capital T and small t. You can see that one which is being shown over here. This is the one of the result that he has got. That result, what we say is 1:2:1. The result will get it by the binomial expression when we do. It was the result which is being obtained. So we'll stop.